and it's really a privilege to to be able to moderate this August gathering of all the key stakeholders, both from the shipping, shipbuilding, shipyard management, plus also the financing part of it. So really appreciate that. We are at a poignant moment where the government is sort of really giving a very renewed push towards shipbuilding, broader the infrastructure push in the port management, right? And also specifically on shipbuilding, as we know that policy reforms around shipbuilding and ship repair clusters is what's framing up, and that's what's going to push us ahead in terms of the shipbuilding capability that we need to augur for our country. To start this discussion, I will initially, pose my question to Mr. Nair. Now, at the Cochin Shipyard, Cochin Shipyard to everyone out there in this hall does not need any introduction. The prowess that the company has shown in building INS Vikrant all from scratch, I think that's exemplary and shows the shipbuilding prowess of the country. Would like to know in terms of globally there's an overlap. India, we are very now self-sufficient in terms of our defense shipbuilding. We are obviously progressing more, but we have a strong footing into it. Now, globally, the commercial shipbuilding and the defense shipbuilding sort of overlaps. China is a one good example where their commercial shipbuilding have actually complemented, or they both way around. Where do you see, because you have had that experience building INS Vikrant, plus the other frigates and other vessels that you are building, how do we incorporate that learning from that project and then sort of incorporate into the commercial shipbuilding initiatives that we are taking?
See, the question was about INS Vikrant and the technological prowess. First of all, let me reiterate, INS Vikrant has been built by Cochin Shipyard. We are proud, we are happy with it. But I've always been reiterating, INS Vikrant is not just about Cochin Shipyard Limited. It's actually about India. Because such a vessel cannot be built by one shipyard alone. There's a lot of all of the country in it. You're asking me a question, how the prowess of INS Vikrant can be leveraged into the larger shipbuilding space. We probably need to treat this a little bit differently. There is defense shipbuilding of various hues, and if you can build an aircraft carrier, you're the 6th country in the world which can design and build an aircraft carrier. It calls and conveys for sure that there is strength and depth in the country. So if you're talking about defense, then if we can build our submarines in the country and we can build an aircraft carrier, then I think we are practically covering the entire seascape, let's say that way, on the defense shipbuilding side. Look at the commercial shipbuilding. But commercial shipbuilding, the general take, and when we look at figures and then talk about the top 3 countries today in the pecking order, China, Korea, and Japan, and together practically 85-86% of the global shipbuilding market, we tend to take it in one single bucket. It's not really one single bucket. It's too big a bucket to be one single bucket. We need to split it into what we call the classical merchant vessels, which is cargo carrying vessels, both of the liquid and the bulk type. So it could be tankers of various types, gas carriers of various types, that's on the liquids and gases. And the bulk could be various type of cargo vessels, the container vessels. So when you're looking at this, this is the bulk. This is what moves trade worldwide, and these are the merchant vessels. There's another segment which is equally important in the merchant vessel space, which is what we call the functional vessels. It's actually ships which will do some functions. It's probably not about cargo carrying. For example, a dredger or an offshore vessel which does work into the offshore, like a diving vessel. These are also very costly vessels, and from economic activity, very big. So if you are looking at the overall commercial market globally, we are talking about $150 billion. And almost 1/3 plus of this is in the functional space. So this is also very important. Now, can you straddle this whole space together? The defense, the commercial, both of the functional merchant vessel type and the non-functional type. It could be possible, but it's difficult. So a country like China probably straddles all. Japan to a large extent, Korea to a large extent. So this is how they built up. What we are trying to do in India, it may be difficult for us to go in all these spaces. Defense, whatever is needed for the country largely, I think we are there. We need to push forward much more. On the commercial side, if the question is, can we handle this technologically? The answer is, apart from certain size ranges, we can handle any vessel technically and technologically in this country. But then since we are talking merchant, since we are talking commercial, it's not just technologically, you should handle it competitively also. Competitively means it's not just a function of price, it's a function of time also. So the question would have to be technology, time and price. That combination, we probably are not all over the place. A company like Cochin Shipyard, we are trying to focus on certain areas which we feel are niche, which are not the ones where there are too many players all over the place. So we focus on functional vessels. For example, we exported more than 35, 40 vessels into West Europe on the functional vessel side. We are today leveraging our strengths, and this calls for deep-rooted engineering strengths. Our engineering group is about 300 people strong. So this is what we are leveraging into such spaces, and those are the areas which we are concentrating on. So that is interesting, and I think we can take it forward. I just want, since we are opening up this discussion here, as a country, when we are looking at, and it's not, these are not things which one company can go and break. This is always as a country, as an ecosystem. And policies are there, the industry at large is there, the shipyards are there, the businesses are there. But just one example, what we call coastal ships in India and what Europe calls short sea shipping. Europe has a need to replace short sea ships up to something like 10,000 tons dead weight. But then the requirement would be about 2,500 ships to be replaced over the next 10 years. And with the right set of policies, today in India, we, between Cochin Shipyard main unit in Kochi and our subsidiary company in Udupi, we are building 22 of these for European clients. A compatriate private shipyard, the Chowglays, are building 32 of those for Europe. Mazdocks is building 4, GRS is building 8. So I think we have 72 or 74 numbers of these vessels, all from businesses, private businesses in Europe, ordered in India, and I think this is what needs to be done. So if today Europe is thinking about short sea vessels, they would definitely look at India. They will think about India. If we can get a few more such segments, then I think we are starting to roll this big cycle. This is what I would think.
Thank you so much. To Mr. Kanagat, when I was doing my research in terms of shipyard management, now somebody who's from the outside looking into it, to me it looked extremely challenging work. I think more than to be able to manage a sort of factory outlet or any sort of larger infrastructure, shipyard management would involve a lot of management. You have labor issues that you probably need to resolve. Then you have to have the materials, the management of these materials. So in a shipyard management, if you could outline what are the challenges that goes into ensuring that the shipyard is all functional, and plus obviously having the right quality of labor, having the the good quality of engineers to look after the maintenance of the shipyard. Those are the aspects. If you could elaborate on those.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for providing this platform. Well, as you said, I agree. Shipbuilding is a very capital intensive and very demanding industry. And therefore, what we see is in the shipyard management, as you have talked about, is it's not only about the material or the labor. It's a much larger perspective where you have to see it. The overall goal, the overall aim of any business, as we discussed in the morning also, is to produce right product with the right quality. In this case, the ships with the right quality in time, and at the end of it, you make some profit also. Now, to make the whole business viable, it is very important that all pieces of the business requirements or the industry requirements are put in place before we come to the labor. Of course, labor is one of the most important element in this. So, if we need to be globally competitive, and at the same time we need to produce the ships in time, we need, it's again gets back to needing the right kind of infrastructure and the advanced technology. All right. So to get the infrastructure and the technology, again it gets into the investment. So the main challenges that we are facing today in the shipyard management is coming from the how to generate the funds and how to go out with the projects. Now, when we run the projects, then definitely this availability of the skilled manpower is one of the major issues that we face. Off late, let's say in last 3-4 years, this problem has become even more severe because the shipbuilding industry itself is picking up. So the demand has gone up. So the people are not available. Those people who are trained are leaving and they're going for the better and higher prospects. Not only in India, within India it's increasing, and even globally the shipbuilding business is increasing, improving. So availability is becoming a big challenge. Now how we are doing it is, we have developed certain training programs. We take the right kind of engineers and we train them continuously. It is not only on-job training. It is we have tied up with certain institutions like IITs, IIT Kharagpur and IIT Madras. There some courses are being run for identified people. We have certain in-house programs that are continuously running. L&T has got a big training institutes in Baroda. So specific courses are run. We have within the shipyard, we have some for the workers, we have the training, continuous training being given to them. So this is a continual process. This is not that can be stopped with one batch. So there is one part which goes on, but that is not the end of it. We need to see how we improve on the technology, because the manpower will not be available in future the way you want. We have trying to ramp up the manpower is becoming difficult. So what we are trying to do is, we are going to get more and more into the technological development. We are getting into the 3D modeling, of course, is the order of the day now. I think all shipyards are doing that. But to the extent that you do the 3D modeling and we get into the 3D digital twinning of this thing, we are getting into the digital twinning of the whole shipyard. So the digital model of the ship and the shipyard will actually eventually run the whole the program of the shipbuilding, and will tell you in future where exactly in advance where exactly in future you're going to have the problems. So those problems are being envisaged earlier and trying to get resolved. So we have not yet got into that, but we have started the journey. We have already got into the paperless kind of production now. So basically what I'm saying is, we are trying to reduce the dependence on the people. So anything that can be done by the computer. So what we are, the objective is, the people should only do the jobs which are required by a human to do. So anything that is repetitive in nature, anything that is I would say routine, matter of routine, should be offloaded to the computers. But of course, the hard production cannot be done that way. So if you look at the world around, particularly if you look at the developed shipbuilding nations like Japan, South Korea and China, a whole lot of automation has come and set into the production as well. And that kind of automation and robotic uses applications can set in only when you have large volumes. We face that one problem, that the volumes are not there. So particularly L&T shipyard is not into the commercial shipbuilding heavily. We largely depend on the defense. And in the defense shipbuilding, each product is different and they are far and distance. You don't get the kind of volume that we need. So that is another challenge that we face in the shipyard management. Because even if you want automation, it comes at a very heavy price, and if your volumes are not supporting, the business is not supporting, then it becomes very, very difficult to get into this. We know what to do, but how to do it is the problem. So that is where we need some kind of clarity from some kind of a support from the government, as we have discussed. Now, all these countries, whether it is China or Korea or Japan, they have come up only because of the huge support that they got from the government in terms of financial as well as the whole industry. The whole ecosystem is not there. The whole ecosystem in India is not yet matured. So we are depending large amount of this thing to the imports. So when it gets into that, then when your materials and with the particularly with the geopolitical system that we have today, it is becoming even more difficult. So the supply chain is breaking in between. The equipment are not available in time. So what happens is, even if you have the people, if you don't have the equipment, then it breaks. Then you have the equipment, you don't have the people, it breaks. So it is becoming that kind of management is becoming a little difficult to handle. But yes, challenges are there, and the whole shipbuilding business itself is quite challenging. So we need to see how we are managing this particular thing. So in addition to that, I would say that particularly when we come to the trained manpower, now how do we employ them? So because once we have the people, no, I'm particularly talking about the production level same people. If you have your subcontractors, if you have the people available there, but you don't give the continuous job, then retaining them again becomes a big issue. So even though during the COVID time we had almost no, for the complete year we have paid them without even having work, but at the moment it opens up, people go away. That they don't consider that kind of thing as a big important favor. So it is the reality. It is the reality. So it becomes very difficult to handle. But yes, we have to live with it.
I will actually have a follow up to both Mr. Kanagat and Mr. Nair. Uh, it seems that volumes is a major factor. You can have the prowess from the defense to the commercial part, but volumes obviously is the main factor. Uh, I would like to have both of your views briefly, if possible, in terms of is there a specific requirement for subsidy, notwithstanding the demand which needs to be generated on the commercial side? Because the Chinese have pumped in over $100 billion over the years and decades. And I think the United States, right up till the 80s, they were doing well in terms of their commercial shipbuilding. They only declined after the Reagan administration did away with the subsidies. Is subsidy is a factor, or do we really need to really work upon on the demand side?
Subsidy is a bad word, but it's a reality and we probably need it. Till what extent, I'm not in a position to say. What we probably need is, as was brought out, an environment where there's a long-term visibility. And I come from the public sector space. I'm involved in these discussions. All I can say is like, nobody is going to give you an order on a platter. Cochin Shipyard has gone through this. We have been in the marketplace last 50 years plus. We've gone through the ups and downs, even when some of our private sector friends had their difficulty. We were still in the marketplace. There's this general perception that it's the government which puts in a lot of money into a PSU shipyard. I can tell you the government has put in not even 1 rupee into Cochin Shipyard Limited. We have in the marketplace, we are tided over the situation. But how we probably need to do it, and what is the current theme and current discussions that's happening. Yesterday there's been fairly big announcements by the Honorable Minister of Port Shipping and Waterways. But the essence is, and I may be pardoned for taking a minute or two here. India is one of the largest cargo owner in the world. We are talking about growth. We are talking about being the third largest economy in the world. And there are a lot of strategic reasons. And suddenly we have realized it needed an Ukraine-Russia crisis. It needed the Houthis to fire at us to realize that shipping, the classical shipping is also equally strategic, not just defense and the naval ships. And we have realized it. When we had the gas and when we had the oil, we didn't have the ships to pick it up. Today, the total trade is only 5%, less than 5% of Indian trade, which is carried by Indian bottoms. It's not about one part is the strategic part. The other part is also economic from the country. It's about 75 billion US dollar, which is the freight charges, which India is paying to companies outside India. If today probably we're not talking about forex conservation, but if this money can be gainfully deployed within the circular economy in the country, there's a big time benefit out of it. So the thought process now is, can we leverage Indian cargo, both liquid and bulk, to the benefit of Indian shipping big time? But how can you do it? Because you need more ships. And how will ships be ordered or invested into? You need to give visibility. It's at least 15, 20 years. So if this visibility comes in, then if you give the first right of refusal to a, let's say, flagged in India, an Indian flag vessel for Indian cargo, not as a subsidy, at market pricing. And if that can trigger a shipbuilding cycle in India, again, not at subsidy, but at market pricing. But till we reach that, probably yes, indirect or direct supports may be needed till we reach that stage. But I think the ambience looks good, and probably we'll have to work in that direction. But if this cycle can be rotated, it could be fairly big time for the country.
Mr. Kanagat, would you like to add on the subsidy part if we really need it?
No, I agree with Mr. Nair, what he said. Now, in addition to that, even though the subsidy is there and it is taken sometimes in your costing also, at L&T personally we have not had let's say much experience of commercial shipbuilding. So what I am talking about is some commercial projects that we have done many years ago. So the subsidy which was available also, it was finally with lot of struggle and fought, I got it back I think somewhere about 9 or 10 years later. So that kind of subsidy which is available and you are not getting in time is actually doesn't help much. I do not know really what exactly is the scene now, but looking at all the promises which are there, and this particularly government has put in a lot of focus onto the shipbuilding, so the future looks pretty hopeful to me. With the Maritime India Vision 2030 and Amrit Kal and the Make in India, these kind of focuses which are coming, this really is looking quite good to me and quite promising.
Thank you so much. Mr. Carter, you're representing Norway in this panel discussion. Over the years and also recently, that the bilateral relationship between Norway and India has become closer, and the focus has been also on the ensuring a green maritime ecosystem. If we have to say, I think everybody would be aware that the Europeans are, in a way, we can call them the first knights when it comes to a green environment and a green ecosystem that we need to develop, not just for the maritime ecosystem, but globally overall to adhere to the Paris Climate Change Agreement. Now, if you could, briefly elaborate going ahead, how's that, especially on the maritime front and on ensuring a sustainable and green ecosystem, how the bilateral relationship is panning out between the two countries?
Thank you for the question. Good afternoon, and also thank you for inviting me to sit in this panel. I think it's indeed a pleasure to be part of this distinguished panel and together with friends. I'll get back to that. So maritime is one of the most important components in the bilateral relationship between Norway and India. We have very strong historic ties between our countries in the maritime space, and this is a session about shipbuilding, but I also want to mention in that connection that India is the second largest provider of skilled seafarers to the Norwegian fleet, and that adds a lot to the to the sort of people-to-people collaboration, and it's a very, very important sort of enabler for business as well. Norway is considered to be one of the first movers and the country that is the most advanced when it comes to green shipping, and we are certainly developing our short sea traffic and converting the ships to electrical ships, and now also applying hydrogen and ammonia in the maritime space. But it's important in that connection to say that we need help to do that. We need someone to build our ships, and very happy to see that the most advanced ships that are actually trafficking the Norwegian fjords are actually built in India. So a couple of years back, we got delivered 2 autonomous fully electric vessels from Cochin Shipyard, built in India, but also including technologies from Norway. And there, I think we have the win-win kind of case, right? We have ship owners interested in getting delivered the most cost-efficient projects, and they go to Turkey, they go to South Asia, they go to China, they go to Singapore. So the competition is there, and I think Cochin Shipyard is a good example of a player that has been working systematically towards the market in Northern Europe and in Norway. And we see that your competitors or friends from the shipyard ecosystem in India are now sort of becoming more and more present in Norway, and we look forward to receiving actually a shipyard delegation to North Shipping next year. But as far as collaboration is concerned, of course, our ship owners are very interested in finding the most cost-efficient yards, but also the yards that have a good track record when it comes to compliance. And I think there also India is is actually at a very, very strong level. We also have, of course, our suppliers to the shipyards, the designers, the companies like the Kongsbergs and the DNBs, the ones providing technology, whether it's in electrification or if it's in autonomy. Also, they are looking at the yards that know how to take care of them. And I think also there we have good examples of good collaboration with the Indian shipyards, and of course especially Cochin Shipyard. So just wanted to start there, and of course now that we are seeing a lot of developments within the fuel space, within ammonia, methanol, hydrogen, and also other biofuels. We will see a lot of innovation happening in the propulsion space. So I think there also we can sort of offer technologies that can make Indian shipyards more attractive, right? Because the offering here is very, very important, and the more reference projects that you get, the better outreach you have towards the ship owners that are now really in need of advice from also the shipyards on what kind of ships make sense for them to build. So yeah, I'll pause there and happy to take any questions. Of course, that's I was getting to that, but we have had, of course, increased trade between Norway and India. The last 10 years have seen a 5-fold increase in the trade between Norway and India. And on 10th of March this year, we also achieved a huge milestone. We signed together with the other EFTA countries, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, a free trade agreement with India. Not only a free trade agreement, it's actually a trade and economic partnership agreement. So it includes not only trade and sort of the basics, the tariffs and the reduction and the removal of trade barriers, but also chapters on sustainable trade and investments in India. So we have a commitment to promote investments in India and contribute to 1 million jobs is what Honorable Minister Goyal has set as a target, and $100 billion of investments before 2040. So this will certainly add to the trade, and given that we already have a very strong foundation in the maritime space, this will only catalyze the developments. So yeah, so thank you for reminding me of that, Madhu.
Thank you so much. Now coming to you, Mr. Chan. It was a deliberate intent to ask all the others, the ship makers and the shipyard management, and also the representative from Norway. Now you are an important person in this entire chain because you are the financier. You are dealing with the finance, and if you don't come with the money, that is the major factor. So now from the EXIM Bank of India, you are the most important stakeholder who is sort of has this responsibility to sort of enhance India's trade globally. And obviously the commercial shipbuilding in India will in the years ahead now will be a major factor. Wanted to know because I think the Sagarmala development company in the process of becoming NBFC, but you are a major player in the finance world in terms of the EXIM stakeholders. How's EXIM Bank is sort of looking into this opportunity where you can go, let's say, finance commercial shipbuilding?
Thank you, Dev. Thank you, Dev. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a very valid question when, after all, it is the job of a financer to support all those activities. But before that, what we have done in the past, before that, I would like to come. What opportunity lies for EXIM Bank and other institution in this sector? So in fact, if you see through this Maritime India Vision and Amritkal Vision, Government of India has already open the floor for next 10-20 years and trying to revitalize this sector. So we have done one analysis, our research department had done one analysis, and we see that there is a potential of almost investment of $230 billion in next 20 years if we want to take this sector to the level of Japan, Korea and Europe. So a lot of investment opportunities there, and we are just thinking a small pie out of the whole this complete segment. So even 5% we take in next 20 years, I'm not able to count on my hands how much funding I can do. But definitely, I mean, it's not only one institution can do, but we all have to come together. But I think this sector itself has got a unique proposition. So it is not meant for a conventional financing and all those things. So definitely there should be some different program for this. Way back in 2017-18, EXIM Bank was the pioneer in giving this idea of floating a MDF, Maritime Development Fund, to the Government of India, and probably in sooner than later it will take a shape also. But I feel apart from this, to take it forward, there should be a right mix of public-private partnership assisted by the finance. Then only this sector can go to the next level. And coming to EXIM Bank of India, we are one of the pioneer institutions supporting shipbuilding, ship acquisition, as well as ports. So in last, I would say in last 10 years, we have always supported this institution with the strength, the kind of strength EXIM Bank is having with probably other institution, I would say, because we are a long-term institution. So we have a long-term funding, and the other advantage what we are having generally, it is not known to the people, that generally when you compare the cost, you always say that ECB is cheaper than rupee and all those things, we should be given the ECB and all those things. But we are the only institution, I can say, who can give you freely FCTL, foreign currency term loan, without getting into the hustle and bustle of ECB. So you can simply take FCTL. We are the institution who can provide you FCTL, which has got all the characteristics of ECB, but no hustles of ECB, which can definitely minimize your cost of fund. So I will urge, I mean, of course, at the end of the day, we are also gone by RBI. We need to have a bankable proposal. So if you have that proposal, we are there. Very recently, Mr. Madhu sir was talking about some ship which is being constructed by many Indian companies. Of course, they are the public sector, they have strength, but there are many private sector who are manufacturing these vessels, and they have come to us, and very recently we have sanctioned some good funding to them. So we are always open, and going forward also we are seeing a huge opportunity in this sector, and we look forward to grab those opportunities.
Thank you very much for that. And also, EXIM Bank over the years have developed financial products, which suits your customers. I think that's something that EXIM Bank has done very well. Coming back to Mr. Nair, ship repair is a major focus, and will be a major focus for Cochin Shipyard going forward. I wanted to understand how you're looking, because there are policy frameworks which have been worked upon for ship repair clusters, but we understand that the Ministry of Shipping along with state governments would be working on it. What's your take on it, and your own view how that policy framework, which is in the making, should come about?
Say ship repair, I think is starting to come of age. For us in Cochin Shipyard, for the first time last year, we crossed a turnover of 1,000 crores on ship repair alone, and that is a big step for us, because the next in the country, probably I don't have authentic figures, but could be less than 200 crores. So what this signals is, even today, Indian ships, the mainland fleet can't repair in India. They're largely going outside India. So this turnover of ours and the other shipyards, a fair bit is coming by repairing the naval vessels, because there's enough and more. There are we're not able to, we turn around, we turn back inquiries which we receive on various other fronts also. See what we have done, and probably I can try to explain the government's point of view. The government is talking about ship repair clusters, and the announcements yesterday is again in that direction. Because worldwide, this industry thrives only in a cluster. In Cochin, last 50 years, we have built up we are repairing around 100 ships every year in Kochi. And what we have done is, we have about 350 small and medium companies, in and around. Service providers, suppliers, that kind of ecosystem has been developed in Kochi. There's a few which we reach out in Mumbai, Coimbatore area also. But this ecosystem, what we are trying to do now is we are driving two clusters in the country. One is a Kochi cluster, and the other one is potentially a cluster out of Gujarat. Kochi cluster, what we have done is we have invested about 1,000 crores. We have created a brand new shipyard spread over 42 acres with a ship lift and transfer system, 6 transfer systems. And we can handle another 80 ships a year. When it's just started August of 12th of August last month, we actually took 3 vessels in that facility and we just started it. When this is full blown, hopefully in the next 3 years, it's more than 80 vessels per year. So what we'll do is we'll shift out all the smaller vessels into this new facility, and the bigger facility would be available for much more. We also constructed a new large dry dock because we have sensed this. We have felt that our time, India's time is coming. We actually put our money into it about 5-6 years back. So almost 3,000 crores of investments have been done. As Mr. Tijo of L&T was telling here, they have built our new dock. It's a brand new dock that we have just commissioned. But the Kochi cluster, when it turns around, and since I have the audience here, we are bringing in a different model because we feel this should be run the private enterprise way, because ship repair is 24/7 by 365 work, and it's back-breaking, it's hard work. We need systems to connect. Our RFP for a global partner is on, it's live today. And we have talked to at least 22 companies world over. We are trying to get one of the best in class into India along with us to build and operate these facilities. We didn't want them to get into the difficulties of creating an asset in India. We have done it. It's readily available. But once it's available, probably with them, we want to do another 10 workstations, which would be another about 1,500 crores of investment, which we will take as we move forward. Parallelly, in Gujarat, or a particular location, teaming up with somebody else, we are trying to build up yet another ecosystem. So these two ecosystems, so the other ecosystem in Gujarat, we will leverage Jamnagar and try to build up something over there. This is what Cochin Shipyard can do. The government definitely is talking much more. And states like Andhra, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Gujarat have shown keen interest. But then this calls for sustained efforts, because this is not a business where you put in money and it starts returning tomorrow. We have been in this business, we have made our money, we have lost our money, but we continue to grow in that space and we feel good. We will take it forward, but we won't be able to do everything alone. But the government is definitely talking about clusterization.
Thank you so much. So the MC has risen up from our seat, and that's not always a good sign. So I will very quickly run up to all the follow-up questions. So I'm coming back to Mr. Kanagat. We touched upon the shipbuilding. Now, before the shipbuilding, it's a ship design. That ship will go, it's going to be out there in the seas for decades to come. Its quality and its life cycle will depend the kind of designing it will go into before it's even gets constructed. If you could outline in terms of in India where we are in terms of the design quality. We are out there now focusing on the commercial part of it. So the designing and the quality will be a major factor. So where we stand on that?
Well, this rightly said that no, the ship is to last decades of the 25 years or so life, and that life can be built in during the design time. Yes, though it is a little complex thing to explain, but I'll try to explain very simply as to what we are doing in the design, and then we see where the country stands. The if you look at the ship consists of the hull as a structure, and then it has got the equipment. Most critical are the propulsion train and the steering gear, and then comes the auxiliary equipment and the systems, followed by the habitability related equipments, and if it is other electronics like navigation and communication, and if it is a defense vessel, then weapons and electronics and sensors, those kind of things also come in. Now the most critical thing is hull, because hull has to last all this life if it has to do so. That is where the design, we have the latest software tools, very advanced tools which are available. They can actually undertake the complete analysis of the hull. All kind of loadings can be simulated, the wave loading and the cargo loading, and so that you can very accurately decide the structure and built in enough adequate margins into that to last that long. It can do the fatigue analysis for the given the number of years that you want it to last. Then comes the propulsion equipment and those critical equipments, that is where you don't take any chances and you go for the best kind of equipment selection. You go for the most reliable equipment, tested and proven kind of equipment that you go. Now the trend today is moving towards the digitalization and using the IoT related things. So what is happening is all the system components, the equipments are being tagged, and they are monitored, the health monitoring online. So the design comes in here, where we are designing the ship using the 3D techniques, the VR, the AR that we have, and we design for better maintenance. The older philosophy was to build the ship the way it is designed. Then it changed few years back. We converted into the ship is to be designed the way it is built. Now today we are following a philosophy that to be designed the way it is operated and maintained. So at the time, now using these 3D tools that are available, we are looking at all the maintenance and operation related aspects that make it production friendly, number one, make it user friendly and maintenance friendly. So fortunately we also have the very advanced paints available, which will take care, the corrosion protection is taken care, which also adds on to the longevity of the ship. Third thing is that we take adequate margin in the stability of the ship for the future growth. So that is very well defined by the customer when we go particularly for the naval vessels, because a lot of equipment change during the life and huge amount of weight gets added over a period of years during the midlife updates, around 10-15 years that they go through. So that kind of stability margins are encountered, inbuilt into the design. So all this put together actually gives the very well maintained life, very well maintained ship, the well operated ship, and a good life to the ship during the design stage.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Carter, if you could quickly run through, in terms of the technological sort of, let's say, relationship between India and Norway, because the TOT, or pretty much after the Paris climate change agreement, the emerging economies have been looking forward to the developed economies in terms of the green technology. Now, how do you see it? Do you think it has to be a market based, or this is something can be agreed upon bilaterally?
Oh, it's a good question. I think essentially it's for us. It's about the fact that we're a small country. We're a country that has a lot of engineering capacity that we're leveraging from the renewable space and from the oil and gas space, but we need to deploy these solutions in markets that have scale, and India certainly represents that. So in that sense, we will continue to see Norwegian technologies being deployed in India across various sectors. Maritime is of course very important. Very happy to hear about how L&T is adopting digitalization and digital twins. This is something I myself have been working with in the offshore sector. So I think we can just expect more and more technologies being, adopted in India. But India is special. You need to tweak not only the solutions but also the business models, and that is why I'm here and why I have a commercial section that can guide companies and tell them, of course, who are the right players to play with, but also how they can adjust their solutions and their business models. And I think just to conclude also, I think we have talked about ship repair, very happy to hear about that. Shipbreaking and ship recycling is also a very, very important area, and I hope we can talk about that next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Rikesh, if you could, briefly sort of elaborate. You are the financier and you are also optimistic on financing on the commercial and shipbuilding side. But as a financier, your first priority is to secure your lending. In the past, there have been issues in the shipbuilding and the maritime sector in the sense that mortgaging of ship is still not covered under the Surface Act. Probably there are amendments and the government is working around it. Those are the factors that sort of have kept the financiers at bay, and what are the reforms do you think we need to take on those parts?
So I will give my response with a disclaimer that I am not a legal person. But nevertheless, I think there is some confusion here, because I am very clear. I will just quickly take 2 minutes to tell you the background also. So under Surface Act, there is a provision to exclude aircraft financing and vessel financing. So it is already excluded. In fact, in 2019-20, one of my account got NPA, where I had given a loan to a company on exclusive charge on the vessel, and other lenders had also given, and everybody dragged the company to IBC. But I wanted to invoke the MSA, Merchant Shipping Act, and you will not believe, we went to IBC, we fought in IBC, and IBC has given a precedence of MSA over IBC, and we excluded the vessel out of IBC. We sold it separately through MSA, and we got our money. So if you ask me, I mean, law is very clear, MS is very, very effective, and I think we were one of the first lender in the country to invoke MSA, Merchant Shipping Act. People were probably not aware at that point of time, and after that I've got n number of inquiries from other banks to how exactly invoke MSA, and we got full support from the Ministry of Shipping, Director General of Shipping, and Registrar of Shipping. They all full cooperated, because it was first time in India somebody was trying to invoke MSA, and we succeeded in that.
That's a very, congratulations to you on that. So on this note, I would really like to sort of, conclude this panel discussion. It was really an honor, having this panel discussion to all you, august speakers. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much.